Ravens flock, what's going on? I hope everybody's having a good day. We are a couple of weeks away from the start of the season, the start of what will be a Super Bowl season. We're going to speak it into existence. We know it's happening, it's coming. Regardless of the shortcomings we have on this team right now, this is still happening. So I wanted to come through with a couple of really just two quick updates about Rashod Bateman and JK Dobbins. They just sat down. Well, he just recently did like a press conference with the Ravens media where they answered some questions, and I wanted to kind of go into what they answered and what they acknowledged. So one thing that definitely stood out to me was Bateman says that he was hurt several games before he actually left for the surgery. Like he literally said that he tried to play through it, but he just couldn't take it anymore. Which I mean, that makes sense. In hindsight, that does make sense. But it's just a shame to hear that it was that bad. But on the positive side, he says that he is feeling like he's 99% healthy. So I'm hoping that he'll be at 100 by week 1, or at least maybe by like week 2 or week 3 or week 4. But even if he's not, again, 99%, if he truly does mean that he's not at 99%, that is still probably all we're gonna need. Because even when you think about, I know a lot of us have been like talking about like Hollywood recently, but even when you think back to Hollywood's rookie season, Hollywood wasn't 100% either. He still contributed, even though he had like, I think it was like a screw in his foot or something from like a foot injury. So, I mean, it can be done. And Rashod Bateman's obviously a much better receiver than Hollywood. So even at 99%, I do think Rashod Bateman's going to be fine. Ultimately, I think he should be fine. It's still yet to be seen, but I think he should be, especially because coming out of college, he did not have this injury history. And it wasn't just a Rashad problem. Our entire team was just hit with the worst luck when it came to injuries. But also, he in his interview with the Baltimore media, he says that he feels that he's matured a lot, which, I mean, that's not a surprise. That type of thing can happen a lot just in life. Even when you're on top of the world and you feel really confident and you've made all the right decisions, or at least enough of the right decisions, but then sometimes an unfortunate situation pops up and just knocks you down and just humbles you. And I feel like that kind of happened to Rashad, because I specifically remember at the start of last season, he did an interview on a podcast with Marlon Humphrey. When he was asked about Hollywood Brown getting traded, he was very confident in himself, and he said, "Yeah, man, it's my time, it's my time." Unfortunately, it just didn't work out that way. At least that season. It doesn't mean it still can't, but it just at the time just didn't work out. And then now we have this new and improved version of the wide receiving room, which he seems to be comfortable with. When they asked him about OBJ, he had nothing but positive things to say about OBJ. Even before OBJ came here, he's worked out with him in the past, so they seem to be pretty cool with each other. Even in the clips we've seen of them in the gym and in training camp, they seem to be pretty cool with each other. So again, he also speaks about how OBJ has that sort of it factor that you can't really explain, but it's really contagious, which is obviously what you want to hear, because I think a lot of Ravens fans, before Odell came here, one of the biggest concerns was everybody figured that he might be a cancer to the locker room. But so far, it's been sounding like the exact opposite, because all you're hearing is people that really just have nothing but positive things to say about him. But Rashad, when asked about how things are looking or how he's feeling about the receiving room, he seemed really excited. He said he was excited. They also asked him how he was feeling about how the distribution of passes will work out, and if he's scared he's not going to get a lot of targets. And he gave what I thought was a really smart answer when he said, he just wants to be there when everybody gets a ring, like he's not too concerned about numbers, which I partially believe him. But at the same time, like, most players, no matter what, especially when it's time for the contract, they're gonna be thinking about their stats. But at the same time, I do think that he is smart enough, or at least he comes off as if he's smart enough to want to look at the bigger picture and see that even if your numbers aren't lights out, being on a championship team and being a big contributor will still be just as impactful to your resume. And, it'll be what people remember long term anyway. But even that aside, I still think that in this current in this current offense, Rashad could still end up with the most total yards. Well, no, I don't know about total yards because maybe JK might ball out, but at least as far as like amongst receivers, I'm still predicting that Rashad is gonna finish the year with the most total yards. Like it might sound like a hot take, but I think we're gonna have that type of season where we're gonna see three different players hit 1,000 yards. Like I think Rashad, he's gonna lead the way with maybe more or less 1,200. I think OBJ is gonna be somewhere between 1,000 and 1,100. And I also think Mark Andrews is gonna be somewhere between 1,000 and 1,100. So I think that's also part of the reason why when you watch the interview, he's just holding back so much joy. Like he seems something about him right now. He just seems so happy and at peace, and just like he was holding back so much joy. Like he was so excited. Like he had this amazing secret that he couldn't let out. He couldn't let the cat out the bag yet. And you especially seen it when they asked him about how he liked Monken's approach to not only the offense, but more specifically to the passing game. When his eyes like literally popped out when he said, "Oh, he loved it." It's very different. Like it's almost kind of funny seeing how people can't. They're trying. I'm not gonna say they can't, but they're trying their hardest not to just piss on the grave of Greg Roman. But it seems so clear that so many people on the team are just relieved that he is gone. So hopefully it definitely works out. One last thing related to Rashad is obviously, as we know, back in the summertime, he called out Eric DeCosta around the time when Eric DeCosta made the comment he made about the receivers and how he hadn't had any success drafting a Pro Bowl receiver yet. And Rashad, obviously we all know he called them out on social media and said that they couldn't keep people healthy and all that other stuff. And when they asked him about that, he claims that they worked it out. He says that Eric spoke his piece and he spoke his piece, and now he's claiming they're best friends. I don't really believe that, but that's what he's saying. Hopefully that's the truth, or at least hopefully it's kind of the truth. You know what I mean? Like it I think it was I think it probably might have been a little bit more animosity that he tried to like downplay. And even if they did reconcile, they probably cursed each other out, but that type of thing probably wouldn't be in the public eye anyway. As far as like JK's press conference, it was just mostly just JK giving like a lot of positive comments and just trying to speak positive about really just everything. Like he seems like a pretty upbeat, positive guy. He says that he's feeling 100%. He's back from his injury. Well, he's already been back technically, but now he's really feeling back because unlike last year, he's also had some time to really get his legs back under him and like really regain that top speed that he once had, which is crazy that he dominated the way he did that towards the end of the season and he wasn't even really running at 100%. That's still mind blowing. He like even he acknowledged that if he was feeling healthy, he would have been even bigger last. He would have had an even bigger year last year than he did, which I definitely agree with. He really didn't give too much on as far as like talking about his thoughts on a running back market. He kind of talked in circles and gave a lot of like politically correct answers, but ultimately he said he wanted to be a Raven for life. And I'm sure a lot of Ravens fans would want to see that. I want to see that because of how talented he is. I still stand by what I said when I said I don't think he should start week 1. You know what I mean? Just because again, he number one, he didn't have the same amount of time to ramp up and get accustomed to this offense like everybody else did who got their reps in. And then also obviously it's like, yo, you just sat out trying to basically do a holdout. I don't think that you should automatically get that week one starting spot over like all the running backs who already were here like the entire summer. But even then, he kind of danced around that too, and then basically said that he kind of made it seem like he wasn't sitting out because of the contract, and he was just sitting out to be cautious, and that could be the truth. But I don't really believe that personally. But yeah, I mean, it's still possible. Like that I will say that's still a good excuse, even if he is lying. But yeah, let me know. Like that's pretty much the main two things I wanted to get into real quick. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know how many yards do you think Rashod Bateman's gonna get? Do you think he's gonna ball out? How many yards do you think JK's gonna get? Do you think he's gonna ball out? Do you think JK should be the week one starter, or do you think they should wait a couple weeks? And then also, do you think JK and Rashod are gonna get contracts past this year and still be on the team? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below.